if you hit the snooze button and go back to sleep for 10 or 15 minutes, you're going to end up with sleep inertia. And then you're going to be drowsy for the next 4 hours. How can I maintain my circadian rhythm? And if you don't know what circadian rhythm is, I'll get into that in a second. But one thing that we're finding now is that one of the first signs of disruption in circadian rhythm is poor sleep. Right now, 1 in 4 Americans, that's 25%, or roughly 60 million Americans, are affected with some form of sleep disorder. There was some lab studies at MIT actually that showed that when you balance your circadian rhythm, it's correlated with a longer lifespan and a healthier lifespan. And there was other studies at MIT that said it may be one of the best treatments and prevention methods of diseases and aging by balancing your circadian rhythms. So basically our bodies function on many different cycles, and that happens depending on where you live, okay? We all are under a basic 24-hour circadian rhythm, but these cycles change. On one part of the world right now it's summer, another part of the world it's winter. So circadian rhythms change seasonally, they can change monthly, they can change daily. And really what the circadian rhythm is your daily rhythm. Circadian, circa means about, and diem means day. So it's really about the day. And the functions of your circadian rhythm are basically based in the part of the brain, because you have like this little section of your brain known as the hypothalamus. And within the hypothalamus, there's a group of cells that are known as the suprachiasmatic nucleus. And that is called the SCN. And that's actually connected to your optic nerve. And your optic nerve senses changes in lightness and darkness. And that's what regulates your circadian rhythm. But the SCN is also responsible for regulating a lot of body functions that revolve around your 24-hour cycle. And that could include body temperature, your heart rate, your blood pressure, and one of the biggest disruptions that we're seeing right now is in hormones. So it actually is responsible for the release of hormones, especially melatonin, which helps us sleep. So what happens is, if you do get a good night's sleep, in the mornings when the light first hits our eyes, our body temperature and our blood pressure begin to rise. So that this is all part of the rhythm that we go through, the circadian rhythm. So in the mornings, as soon as that light hits the eyes, if you were in nature and you were sleeping outside, you would have this kind of a natural circadian rhythm, like the animals do. And as soon as the light hits your eyes, your body temperature starts to rise a little bit. Your blood pressure begins to rise. Your heart rate increases because that's kind of trying to wake you up. And there's also a delay or a stoppage of the production of melatonin because melatonin kind of makes you sleepy. So that's what happens first thing in the morning. Now, the question I have, or what I would say is, to the main question, explaining the circadian rhythm is, what's going on right now? Like, what are the root causes that are affecting people's normal circadian rhythm? Because if you understand, again, the root cause of why your circadian rhythm is off, then you can figure out the solutions to avoid and to try to repair and try to balance your circadian rhythms. So one of the things that is a disruptor of your circadian rhythm is eating big meals or spicy meals close to bedtime. So when your body, you should never eat 2 hours before you go to bed, at least 2 hours before you go to bed. But with the standard American diet, with people eating foods at like 9 p.m. at night and then drinking a bottle of wine and eating a bunch of sugar and dessert and everything, and then they go lay down in bed, of course that's going to mess up your circadian rhythm because your body's going to be focusing its energy stores on all this junk, this 5 pounds of food that you have inside your system. And all your energy is going to start going towards breaking down that food. So you might have a hard, and the fact that you're laying down, your food is having a hard time moving down the digestive tract if you're laying down on your back trying to go to sleep. And so that can alter your circadian rhythm. The next thing that can alter your circadian rhythm is caffeine. Drinking caffeine after 2 or 3 in the afternoon can still have a negative effect on your sleep cycle, your wakefulness cycle. And people that drink caffeine late in the evening, that would also affect your sleep cycle and can affect your circadian rhythm. Another thing that can affect your circadian rhythm is alcohol. That's a hard one because, I can't tell you how many times I've had people say, well, there's just no way I'm giving up my wine. There's just no way I'm giving up my wine in the evenings. Like, they just can't wait to get home and have a glass of wine or a bottle of wine. That's, a whole nother issue right there. But alcohol can disrupt your circadian rhythm because it can create an imbalance. It can cause the liver to work extra hard. It can kill off the microbiomes in your bowel that produce serotonin and produce some of the chemicals you need to go to bed. So you might want to start limiting your alcohol content because, this is something that is so natural that we're all born with it, and animals are born with it too. It's the natural rhythm that our bodies go through. And when you disrupt the natural rhythm of our bodies in the universe, then you disrupt and you create a toxic or an imbalance of that rhythm, and any imbalance can lead to negative health conditions. And I tell you, one of the things that I've found that's been disrupting people's circadian rhythms in the last 10, 15 years has been EMFs. People are sleeping with their laptops on their lap. They fall asleep at night after working, and their laptop just sits there on their stomach until the morning. They sleep with their phone next to them. When there's a text message or something, the light comes on. And even if your eyes are closed, your eyes can still pick up that little bit of light. So that's why it's so important to sleep in complete darkness or use one of those herbal eye masks when you sleep. Because any amount of light can disrupt your circadian rhythms. And any amount of electromagnetic frequencies, harmful frequencies, can alter the way you sleep. You don't want to have any cell phones near you. If you do, have them on airplane mode. You don't want to have any laptops near you. You don't want to have any digital clocks near you. And especially, you don't want to have a smart meter on the outside of your house or a Wi-Fi router or any of that near your bedroom, because that can disrupt your circadian rhythm. Stress also alters your circadian rhythm, That's why it's a good idea to do some Wim Hof, some deep breathing exercises. Get off electronics at least an hour before you go to bed so you can relax. You can do some meditation 20 minutes before you go to bed. So it gives you the opportunity to get out of the realm. Don't watch TV. Some people watching shows until 9, 10, 11, 12 o'clock at night. Give yourself some time to balance. You will see tremendous differences in your health if you just get away from the news, from the papers, from your phone, from your social media, from all that, and spend time with yourself 20 or 30 minutes before you go to bed. Read something positive. Do some personal development. Do some spiritual development. Do something that's going to be positive, and then it'll help you go to sleep, so you're not in a state of stress, which would be a sympathetic state instead of a parasympathetic state. There's something called sleep inertia that can mess with your circadian rhythm as well. And sleep inertia is hitting the snooze button in the morning. What happens is, if you hit the snooze button in the morning, and you go back to sleep a little bit, your body thinks that it's going to go back to sleep. And that's what causes you to be drowsy. So when it's time for you to get up in the morning, I've always said, win the mornings. When you wake up in the morning, you cannot hit the snooze button and go back to sleep. You have to pop up out of bed, you have to get up, and you have to start your day. Otherwise, if you hit the snooze button and go back to sleep for 10 or 15 minutes, you're going to end up in sleep inertia. And then you're going to be drowsy for the next 4 hours because you're tricking your body and you're disrupting your circadian rhythm. Poor gut health, I mentioned, for insomnia, sleep problems, circadian rhythm disruption, also a sign that you might have gut issues. I would recommend that you really look into doing gut cleansing, take some good probiotics, and really focus on your health, eating healthy, eating more raw organic foods. All that can disrupt your circadian rhythm. Another thing that can disrupt your circadian rhythm is temperature. If it's too hot in your room, if it's too cold in your room. The perfect sleeping temperature is usually around 65 degrees Fahrenheit to around 68 degrees Fahrenheit. I think it's actually 67.5 in the studies. But anywhere between that range is going to be your best sleep temperature. You also want to make sure that your bedroom is conducive to sleep. Make sure you have a good organic mattress. Make sure you're sleeping on organic sheets. Make sure you have a good baby wool organic pillow. Make sure that you're not sleeping on memory foam because you're breathing those toxic VOCs all night long. Make sure you don't have air fresheners in your bedroom. Make sure you have live plants in your bedroom. Make sure you have an air purification system in your bedroom. Where you sleep is where you live 8 hours of your day. Hopefully you're sleeping 8 hours out of the day. Those are all things that can disrupt your circadian rhythm. Also, travel can disrupt your circadian rhythm. I know that firsthand. I've been traveling all over the world the last 18 months. And I can tell you, my circadian rhythm, I've been trying to balance it out through meditation, through taking melatonin, through taking some 5-hydroxytryptophan, trying to trick my body. But ultimately, travel can disrupt your circadian rhythm as well. Many adults, mostly men over the age of 40, are having urination situations because your body, without doing regular detoxification and cleansing programs, this is one thing that I've talked to many women about because they end up having to split into different bedrooms because the husband is starting to develop night urination patterns. And usually that's just swollen prostate, lack of exercise, disruption of hormones. And they end up having to get up 2 or 3 times in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. And it's very sad because, you start seeing couples that have been married for years and years and years that have to have separate bedrooms once they're in their 50s and for the rest of their life. Because, it's not fair to the woman that the husband is getting up 3 times in the middle of the night to go urinate and then it's disrupting her sleep patterns. So night urination, that is something that we've had tremendous success with working with individuals that have been taking our Prostrex formula. The males that take the Prostrex formula has almost completely stopped the night urination. And we've gotten so many people that have said, thank God, and the women and the men have said, it's great that we could sleep together again in the same bed. So night urination is another disruptor of circadian rhythms. So all these things we can just look at and come up with. There's all solutions for all this stuff. But you really need to identify the causes first. Medications, prescription medications is another thing that can cause circadian rhythm disruption. All these kids that are on Adderall, that are on all these, stimulants, these medications, multiple medications can cause disruption in sleep. Even sleep medications can cause disruption in circadian rhythms. If you're on any medications, I would highly recommend looking at the side effects, looking at what it's going to do, look at what it's doing to your body, because medications are nothing more than putting a Band-Aid over a symptom. Medications do not address the root cause of the situation. Yes, you may need medications in trauma situations, you may need medications in emergency situations, but you should never be on, my opinion, you should never be on medications for long periods of time. The body wants to heal itself. The body doesn't want to be on medications. Some of the things that are effective for sleep, insomnia, until you cleanse your body, until you can start working on some of these things, melatonin, you can do the Wim Hof breathing method before you go to bed, CBD oil is being used now efficiently to help people with sleep disturbances in circadian rhythm, to help with insomnia. Chamomile flower, California poppy, 5-HTP, passion flower, lemon balm, kava. I really like kava, GABA, and L-tryptophan. Those are just some of the things that I've worked with and some of the things that I've used to address those issues with circadian rhythm disruption. So if you have any further ideas, anything else that you can recommend, anything else that might be a cause, I mean, we could literally go over hundreds of different chemicals and toxins and all that stuff that can disrupt your circadian rhythm. But please feel free to post any suggestions that you have. We want to help as many people as we can. And please post any suggestions, what you've done, or if you can be an influence to somebody else, some of the methods that you might have used to improve your sleep patterns or regulate your circadian rhythm.